Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and if you think I'm taking this One Punch Man shirt off, you got another thing coming! Yeah, I'm never taking this thing off, never! Anyway, it's been 5 years since the year 2018, and what happened in 2018? We saw the release of, if you can remember, the most long-running #1 single of all time in the history of American popular music, yes, Lil Nas X's Old Town Road. Which, I mean, obviously, I was there for the song being popular. I was even whipped up in the craze, not just as somebody who was a fan of the song, but also there was like one of the music videos for it with for the Young Thug remix. I was like depicted in the music video. As you will recall, Lil Nas X came out with remix after remix after remix of this song, bringing a myriad of different vocalists into the fold to kind of reimagine this track. Teens were jamming it, adults were jamming it, hip hop, pop, and country fans were jamming it. Pretty much everyone was wanting to take their horse down the Old Town Road. The more that I think about it, the more just outright insane it is that this song had the moment that it did. When you look back upon the biggest and most popular songs of all time in terms of like, you know, #1 status, sheer numbers, you think like what? Michael Jackson's Thriller, you think like some Beatles song or a Madonna song or something like that, and then Old Town Road, which as I go back and listen to the track, there are things about it that I love and I think are exciting. And then there are other things that just kind of make me think like, wow, this song has the status that it does, despite the fact that it is very clearly like so tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, the song isn't coming from a very grave or even personally passionate place. It's a little bit more on the novelty side of the spectrum, if anything. On top of it, you're talking about this track being a country rap fusion featuring Billy Ray Cyrus, also performed by who is now the most openly gay rapper of note, and is also based off of a 9 Inch Nails sample. I suppose that might not be the weirdest recipe of things to come together in the history of all pop music, but it's got to be up there in the top 10 at least. And the oddity and the unseriousness of this song, I think, was made pretty clear by the fact that Lil Nas X very consciously started to move away from this sound and anything resembling it as he continued to release more music, and then would eventually go on to drop his very good Montero record, where he was pretty much doing anything other than a country rap fusion. I think he had the foresight at the time that this song, even though it was wildly popular, was going to have this very short shelf life, because I don't know anybody who's like unironically jamming this song now. When I went back and listened to it, not to say that I think it sounds bad or anything like that, but you know, I think there is a certain lack of substance there that kind of makes long-term replay value I don't know, not necessarily high yielding in terms of results gratification. And to further indicate this track's short shelf life, one would think after a song so popular that you would see this never-ending flurry of chart-topping country rap artists, but like that just didn't end up happening. So maybe ultimately at the end of the day, like the track's impact culturally wasn't that deep per se. With that being said, never underestimate the power of a good, tasteful fusion of multiple genres that will bring different cultures of people from different walks of life under one single umbrella to listen to a single artist or track. Because sure, while this track was a novelty in its own way, I don't think this is a combination of sounds and genres that would have gone this far if we were talking about a track that dropped in the 2000s and the 1990s. And look, those tracks had their share of like, you know, a rapper hopping on a country song and so on and so forth. I was very much alive and aware when Nelly collabed with Tim McGraw, and I hated that shit. And that aged way worse than anything Lil Nas X is ever going to do. Let's not also underestimate the role that memes and meme culture played into this song becoming so popular too. Because I think Lil Nas X, being as meme and internet savvy as he is, effectively used jokes and virality and online humor to promote himself and this song really effectively. And frankly, moving into Montero did a great job of transitioning into, I guess, a more serious kind of pop star mode. While I am excited for what Lil Nas X is going to do next in music, I kind of can't help but wonder and worry if this song is like, you know, the mark of a new chapter for things, or like maybe even a breaking point, because is short-term mimetic virality now king and ultimately the main predictor of what we collectively are listening to most of the time? I sort of feel like that's a bit unfortunate. Certainly not as doom and gloom or end of the world as some people who have a more boomer mindset might, you know, paint things out to be, as music that fits that criteria doesn't necessarily have to be bad. But I think there's a certain lack of depth and longevity in that doesn't exactly make for timeless music per se. For sure, 20 years from now, I or anybody else could maybe point somebody younger to a song like Old Town Road and say, oh yeah, this was really popular at a certain time. It was a fun track, da 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 da. Sure, it was entertaining. It was a moment. It was fun, but did it speak to anybody's soul per se? And not that Lil Nas X is obligated to do that for me or for us or for anybody else. In fact, little to nothing I'm saying here really has specifically to do with Lil Nas X or the decisions that he makes as an artist. I mean, it's not like he made this track knowing how popular it was going to get. This is more of a commentary on us as consumers and the platforms through which the music that we listen to gets delivered unto us, because obviously we're not making all of these choices to listen to X, Y, or Z completely independently. Streaming platforms and algorithms and advertising no doubt influence us. But still, with what free will we do have in this system, we have chosen this. This is what we have chosen in terms of like what is deserving to be the longest running #1 single of all time. Maybe what's concerning is that nothing since then has even come close to getting that level of sustained popularity. Those are my thoughts on this. If you have any, leave them in the comments. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or a link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano. 5 years later, Lil Nas X, Old Town Road, forever.